What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? New week, new video. As usual, a little bit different. I'm going to go ahead and just put some thoughts out about what's going on in the sports world. Let's first start with giving Carson Wentz a round of applause. Can everybody go ahead and join in for me, please? And when you're done, I want everybody to go ahead and Google for me where Carson Wentz ranked on the top 100 list, because as true football heads know, the top 100 list, as ranked by the players, has been released. 100 all the way down to 1. And I'm going to give you guys 3 seconds to go ahead and Google Carson Wentz placement on there. Let me go ahead and just save you the time. He's not on the list. Do you know who's on the list? Dak Prescott's on the list. Not only is he on the list, he's ranked 46th. So if you've been following me long enough, you would know that I dropped a video. They got a lot of flack, a lot of back and forth when I dropped the video stating that Dak Prescott was better than Carson Wentz and why. So I feel pretty vindicated knowing that a lot of professionals feel the same way. What I am going to do is I'm going to go ahead and reel back because I am taking a lot of joy in this, and believe me, I am thoroughly tickled by it. I will say he was snubbed. He doesn't deserve to not be on the top 100 list. I cannot tell you there are 100 players better than Carson Wentz. I will only simply tell you that Dak Prescott is definitely better. So if Dak Prescott is 46, I don't care where Carson Wentz is, but he definitely deserves to be on the top 100 list. In other news, I'm just going to move on from that because I don't want to gloat too much for my Philly fans, who I'm sure are going to give me plenty on that. In other news, let's start with a little bit of bad news. I'd rather give you the bad than go with the good. A lot of players are opting out of the NFL this season so far due to COVID. It's not bad news, and let me just put out a quick disclaimer. If anybody feels like they don't need to play and they want to take the safety of their family into consideration over playing a football game, I fully support that. So when I say it's bad news, I simply state that as just, a fan that would like to see football in the fall. But definitely safety should come first. So I'm all for family and whatnot. But the fan in me, I'm going to put that hat back on, is a little discouraged because I'm worried about if we're going to even have a season. So as of right now, the Pats have 6 players that have opted out, to include Dante Hightower, which is their best linebacker currently. Now, to flip to a little more fun conspiracy theory type of thinking, I've heard there's some rumors out there that Bill Belichik is somehow masterminding getting players to not play. Long story short, the conspiracy theory is that he's trying to find a way to tank this season, and the prize for tanking next season is Trevor Lawrence from Clemson. So while we know, and my wife's floating around here, while we know the Patriots are cheaters, right? I just had to state that in case you saw a slap come from somewhere. While we all know the Patriots have made a career of cheating, I would say I think this is a little far-fetched. But I don't put anything past anybody. And do I think Bill Belichick is telling them, hey, don't play this season? Let's just plan for next season? No, I don't. But do I think that Bill Belichick might have implanted a thought process like Inception of, hey, go take care of your family. We got a long season ahead of us. There's going to be a lot of changes. If you feel like, you got to put your family first, then go ahead and go do that. I fully support you. Once again, we have a long season ahead of us. Emphasis on long. Yeah, I think he could probably do something like that with the thought process of, if there's a way to maximize potential, because he treats players like commodities, which is why I think he was able to sign Cam Newton for a veteran minimum, or why he decided to go ahead and do it. Because if Cam Newton balls out, great. If he doesn't, he's probably going to sign as a starter somewhere else, and they'll get a comp pick for it. So just something to keep in mind that Bill Belichick's always thinking um, outside the box. He's always zigging when everybody else is zagging. Um, so with that being said, I put a gun to my head. No, I really think these are just legitimate thoughts and concerns that players have, especially if you're the Patriots. They're probably not going to be very good this year. And they've already got, like, a lot of the players that have opted out already have rings, getting up there in age. In Hightower's case, he has a young child. I think they just had a baby. So we'll see what happens moving forward. I never touched on the Pat Mahomes contract that he got a few weeks ago. I'm not sure if it's even a month now. And part of the reason I haven't really touched on it was because the details of that contract are very complicated, right? So I did a little bit of research and I got this information off Spot Track. So if there's some minor things in it that maybe you don't understand, go there, check it out, right? But I'll try to explain it as best as I can. So Pat Mahomes, the big number everybody heard was $503 million, $500 million he signed in his contract extension. So basically, he signed for 12 years. The extension was for 10. And the total, if he hits all his incentives, are $503 million. Here's why, and of course, I know I'm just as broke as a lot of people. I'm nowhere near this kind of money, trust me. But again, we're putting our fan hats on, right? Here's why it's not the greatest deal, okay? Patrick Mahomes could have been offered a blank check. He is by far the best player in the NFL. He's the face of the NFL, the best quarterback in the league. Now, moving forward. He had every opportunity, okay, and just follow me, to ask for a 4-year, $200 million deal, fully guaranteed. That's roughly somewhere in between the 40, 45, 50 million, somewhere between 40 and 50 million, depending on how they want to break it up a year annually, right? He could have came back to the table after year 3 for renegotiation and did it again. And let's say you adjust for inflation and the salary cap goes up. That means he could conceivably have gotten more than 200, another 200 fully guaranteed, right? So that means before 8 years is up, he'll have made 800. I'm sorry, am I doing that right? $400 million, right? So in 8 years, he'll have gone ahead and made just as much as what it would take him the full 12 years to get, almost, right? Now, you're a little bit short on $100 million, but then after that, 3 years later, you're renegotiating another deal. You might have surpassed that in the 12 years, is what I'm trying to get at. But that's not ultimately why this isn't the greatest deal, right? My concern is this, right? So I'm pro player. Players are always fighting for leverage in the NFL, which they don't have. Unlike the NBA, unlike the MLB, these contracts are not guaranteed. When he signed his $503 million extension, he got a $10 million signing bonus. Let me put that in perspective for you guys, okay? Joey Bosa just signed a 5-year, $135 million deal. He signed a $78 million signing bonus. He has $102 million total guaranteed, which means no matter what happens, they can cut him tomorrow. He is guaranteed $102 million. Now, there's some tricky language in Pat Mahomes' contract, but $10 million of $503 million is virtually nothing, right? So he has a $140 million. Here's the leverage. He has a $140 million injury guarantee. Basically means if his career is cut short due to injury, he is guaranteed $140 million only for injury. The guaranteed portion of this contract outside of injury is only $63 million. Now, the leverage he does have is obviously he has, large cap hits. The dead cap, though, hit. He has no dead cap after 2025. His dead cap in 2023 is $4 million. Dead cap is how much he counts against the salary cap. So for instance, if they decide to release him, how much they have to pay him against the salary cap. So $4 million, a lot of players get cut for more. Put it in perspective, I think Antonio Brown was cut by 2 teams. And when Pittsburgh let him go, I believe he had close to $20 million dead salary cap hit. So $4 million is nothing. So conceivably in 2023, Pat Mahomes can get cut. Now, I know everybody's thinking I'm crazy. Pat Mahomes wouldn't get cut, right? So let me put this in perspective for you guys. He has a $140 million injury guarantee, as I previously stated. He wrecks his shoulder like Drew Brees did. Except instead of just rehabbing, coming back, he has to make a $140 million decision that maybe I should just retire. Because what could happen is, let's say he gets to 2022, gets that injury, then he comes back, decides to come back. So now he's forfeiting his $140 million injury guarantee, right? Because you have to prove medically that this injury ended my career. If he's never the same after that, the Chiefs may not be able to trade him. They can cut him. And he'll only have made $63 million of that $503 million deal. Now, that is a lot of money, not saying that he, can't live, of course. But you sign a $503 million deal and you want to be the cautionary tale that only made $63 million of it in a league where the players are constantly fighting for leverage. And you set a bad precedent for other quarterbacks that are coming up behind you. You always want to be pushing it forward, not just for you, but for the next man. And so they're constantly arguing the CBA, the collective bargaining agreement. And these are the problems they're having, because when you sign that kind of deal and you become the face of the league, not just the franchise, right? You have the power to push things forward. You only have so much leverage with this deal, the way it's structured. They're going to point to you. Dak Prescott's trying to get a deal. Other quarterbacks are going to be trying to get a deal. Deshaun Watson's coming up. Lamar Jackson's coming up. This deal, teams are going to point to this deal and say, why don't you do this? Now, it did help. He's a good dude. It did help his team. So they were able to sign Chris Jones. They're able to keep the band together. But if this thing falls off the rails, 2023 is the year to look at. Just food for thought. I hope he gets his money. I'm sure he will. He's a really super talented guy. But get your money. You want to know why you should get your money? I've mentioned Cam Newton earlier in this video, right? Cam Newton was an MVP a few years ago. He also had over $100 million deal. He's now playing for the veteran minimum. He basically had to beg teams to sign him. Veteran minimum. That's what Pat Mahomes could be facing one day if he doesn't play his cards right. So those are just some of my thoughts. I appreciate everybody that supports. Please subscribe to the YouTube Fan Smarter page. Hit the bell so it'll notify you whenever I drop a video. If you're following me on IG, Hulk0219, I'm going to drop a link to the YouTube channel and hit it, subscribe as I previously stated, like on IG, like on Facebook. And I'm answering, any questions you guys have in the comments, anything you guys want me to talk about, let me know. Peace out and be safe.